Well, here we go, Darktrace. Oh my days. It should have been yesterday, but we had to talk about Google earnings, and I also have a new stock I want to talk about, but we had to make a video about it, didn't we? Darktrace. What a day it had on Friday. The stock was up nearly 20%, and year to date, the stock is now up nearly 80%. Wow. You know, when this is your third largest position, that's absolutely amazing. And since I bought this stock, the stock has been on absolute fire. This is now another 100% return member added to the long list of stocks that I've provided on the YouTube channel for you guys for free. And yeah, the list of 100% return members just gets longer and longer and longer. So we have to make a video. We have to make a video and celebrate, because obviously, you know, sometimes me personally, I end up talking about, oh, do I go buy this stock, or what's happening in this stock, should I go buy some more of it? There's not that many times we actually sit back and we reflect on things that go right. And today is like, or yesterday in particular was like one of those days where it went right. It went very right. I mean, the last couple of months it's gone very right, and it just keeps going up more and more. I was starting to think like, something's going on here with Darktrace. The fact that it keeps going up this much. I mean, it does help that the valuation it was at was so cheap compared to every other cybersecurity out here that I've talked about for a good length of time on the YouTube channel. But that's what I put it down to. But clearly, maybe there was a little bit of news going around that maybe there's someone looking at buying out Darktrace. And yeah, I mean, what a performer. I mean, the only frustrating thing that I've got to say with Darktrace is that originally, when this news came out yesterday, I'm not gonna lie, I was a bit peed off. Like, my first reaction on the Discord, I wasn't like, oh, you know, like, get in there, celebrating. I wasn't really happy about it, and my first reaction actually to Darktrace was I was a little bit gutted. I was like, you know, even in the last kind of couple of months, you know, only last month I think, I was buying more shares of Darktrace. I was still averaging up on my position massively. I was still massively averaging up on my position, because I was like, I still really like the value. I like the execution here. I think, you know, cybersecurity is going to be so hot in the next few years. This is my cybersecurity play. I still really like it, and I was buying and buying more and more. And if anything, I'm a little bit gutted, because I planned this to be my cybersecurity play for the next 3 years, 5 years, 10 years maybe. And I was really planning this for the long term, and it was great being up 100%, but realistically, I felt like this stock would be maybe even a 200, 300, 400% return member. So yeah, at first I was actually a little bit gutted that they got bought out, and then eventually I thought, you know what? At the end of the day, look, we're here to make money, guys, aren't we? You know, it's that's what it could have been, but the main thing to focus on is what has happened, and what has happened is we made a lot of money on Darktrace. And this is my third largest UK holding. This is the most money I've ever made on a UK stock, and that should be something that I should be, you know, proud of. I'm celebrating. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to say, get in there, but at the same time, I'm going to say, when the news did come out, I was a little bit gutted that it had sold out, because I did really plan on holding this for a long term. So let's just have a quick look. There's a few points that I actually want to make, but one of the big things that I'm always surprised about is that no one actually really covered Darktrace that much on the YouTube channel, the YouTube part, or the YouTube scene. I never saw any other investors talk about it, and it just really surprised me that we have this really amazing UK tech company. We have hardly any UK tech companies, and this is such a really good valuation, but yet at the same time nobody was really talking about it. Like, this is such a clear opportunity, and it's a little bit disappointing to see that we have such a good company, yet there was no, you know, like, big awareness put out there about it. There was only myself that was really covering about Darktrace, and even me at some points I was like, why is everyone missing this? Like, you know, I thought it was a clear opportunity, but you know, there wasn't really that many people really talking about it. And what I'll also say is that, once again, it kind of proves that, once again, the UK market, I mean, another acquisition, how many acquisitions are we seeing in the UK market, is proving that the UK market is looking so cheap out there, that once again we've seen all these international firms look at UK market and go, look at what they're valuing at compared to everything else, or how historically low it is, you know, we'll go buy it. I mean, there's just so many acquisitions kind of going on out there at the moment in the UK market, and you know, I see a lot of people like saying, oh, don't buy UK companies. I think I talked about it like the other day. It's like somebody was like, don't buy UK companies, and I'm like, well, there's some good UK companies out there, and if you know where to look, like, you can make as much, you know, money as what you would on the US market. Darktrace is one of them. You know, Darktrace was a UK company. And if you bought Darktrace, that would be an absolutely amazing performer. Now, obviously they were bought out. They were bought by Thoma Bravo for 5.3 billion, not million. The offer works out as £6.20 a share, which was a 20% premium. Now, originally when I looked at this, I was like, a 20% premium, I would expect maybe a little bit more of a premium than that, and that what's originally disappointed with. And also when you start looking at the future numbers as well, I think it was trading at like 7 times forward earnings or something, which is not, I still think it's relatively quite a cheap valuation. I thought they would have maybe paid a bit more of a premium than this to acquire it. But then actually when you start factoring in that already it's up 79% this year, it's already ran up a lot this year from where it were only around about a year ago. The stock's up 138%. If you look at the IPO prices, it's nearly double from the IPO prices, as you can see here. So the only people that have not really done well on this stock is anyone that bought during the 2021 highs when valuations went absolutely crazy. So considering all them sort of factors, maybe it wasn't terrible. I personally feel like it could be worth a bit more. I mean, realistically now, it's around about 45 times earnings. That's about what a US cybersecurities are trading at. So I'd like to see this taken out for a bit more, especially when you look at the future growth as well that they still had. I personally would have been a lot more happy towards like the £7.50 range. If I'm being honest, I would like 20% more, but it is what it is at the moment. And I also think as well, maybe the inside as well, they've had a tough time over the last few years, and maybe they kind of went, let's ourselves take a little bit of a cash out as well. So maybe that's also something that they were kind of considering with this offer as well. Now, a lot of people will probably be thinking, what have I done with my Darktrace position? Well, obviously I can wait for the deal to close. It would only be a little bit more of a price than where it is right now. So I think most of you guys are aware that watched the YouTube channel for a long time. We've had a few acquisitions over the years. Gnog, GWPH, Glue, for example, Hotel Chocolate this year, last year, Darktrace this year. We've had quite a few acquisitions made. And for me personally, whenever I have an acquisition or an offer, I normally sell out. The only way that it would probably go higher from here is if it enters a bidding war, which I don't, with the stage that they're at, I don't think there will be. I think that's maybe why the share price went up, because a few people might have found out like, they're asking around like, hey, we've had an offer, does anyone want to come in and offer us a bit more than this? I always said that I think that Darktrace would get acquired. I just didn't think it would be now. But that's maybe why it went a little bit off, because people were like, there's an offer there, is anyone going to come in a little bit more? Maybe people found out they were kind of just making sure if anyone wanted to put another higher offer in. The only way that this would go higher now is that if there was a higher offer put in, which I don't think they can with the stage they're at, but a few people spoke about it, but I don't personally think it will happen. And like I said, for me, whenever I have a stock that's been acquired, I always sell out on the day. It's not when the share price is the highest on the actual day when they have been acquired. And also for me, like the little more premium I can get waiting for the deal to close. The risk that I would have to take there is that any sort of competition or watchdog for regulation comes in and says, you can't do that deal. If anything, like they start looking at the numbers, they audit before they complete the deal and go, actually, we don't like this, we're pulling out the deal. Also, that obviously I have to wait quite a while for the cash. For me, rather than waiting, like 6, 9, 12 months for that cash injection, I'd rather just take my cash now and go look for another opportunity, knowing that Darktrace realistically isn't going to be in my long-term plans anymore. So for me, it's just rather I'd just take the cash now and then go look for those opportunities. And on the Patreon, I've actually just dropped a video which I call Darktrace What's Next. And I actually go on to the Patreon members and Discord members who obviously knew that I sold Darktrace yesterday. I say that what my plan is for the cash. Obviously, there's a big cash pile that's just suddenly come up. So yeah, I talk about the potential options I have. Really have 2 big options, and those 2 options that I'm looking to probably take over the next kind of few weeks. So yeah, if you're on the Patreon, obviously you can go see that video about what I plan to do with my cash pile now that I've sold it. And obviously you guys on the Patreon knew every time I bought Darktrace, and obviously you knew exactly that I sold Darktrace yesterday as well. But yeah, overall, really happy to have another 100% member into the long list of club, the 100 member club. It's great to have another member added in there. Overall, yeah, there's part of me a little bit disappointed. This one that I really did want to hold for the longer term, and I thought would be a really big winner. But at the end of the day, we're here to make money, and when you have made over 100% return on one of your big, large UK positions, there's definitely nothing to be, nothing to be upset about that, I guess, really. And it is a time to celebrate. So yeah, a lot of thoughts. I tried to remember all the thoughts I had and try to squeeze it on this video for you guys. But yeah, that's where we're at with Darktrace, and congrats to any of you guys that have been Darktrace shareholders. I'm sure you're doing really well yourself anyway. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Have a great weekend. See you in a bit.